Kia ora tamariki mā, and welcome back to The Word. I wonder if you've ever had a friend do something small for you and it made a big difference to your day. Well, today's story is about a group of friends who really wanted to make a difference in someone's life, and that someone was their friend James. The way they chose to do it was a little weird, but also super cool. Since they were young, this crew had hung out with James every day. Sometimes they would tell each other stories, sometimes they would play games or tell silly jokes, but mostly they just liked to keep James company. You see, James couldn't walk. He'd never been able to, and when people couldn't walk back in Bible times, they were usually just left by themselves to beg on the side of the road. Well, on this day, they'd all heard the news. Jesus was in town, like the actual Jesus that had been healing people just like James all over Galilee. They knew what they had to do. They were on a mission. One way or another, they were going to get James in front of Jesus. They so wanted this miracle for him. So they each grabbed a corner of his sleeping mat and headed down the road to the house where the crowds were gathering. When they arrived, they couldn't believe their eyes. There were hundreds of people trying to squash into this tiny-ass house to hear Jesus. The people were all over the street, looking in the windows. There's no way they could all squeeze through this crowd. Right then, Sam, one of the friends, had an idea. They all huddled together as he shared it, and they came up with a plan. They spent the next few minutes gathering supplies and then headed round the back of the house. They spent time tying ropes, poles and pulleys to the mat that James was lying on. And then Sam, he climbed up a tree next to the house and jumped over to the roof. "Come on," he called to the others, and one by one they climbed up the tree and onto the roof. Once they were all up, they pulled on the ropes, and slowly James made his way up to his friends. "I hope this works," said Sam. "Me too," said James. They slowly started pulling tiles off the roof until there was a big-ass hole. One by one, they peeked in and could see Jesus just below them teaching the crowd. "Perfect," said Sam. "Okay, we need to work together here." Slowly, inch by inch, they lowered James on the mat down through the hole. The funny thing was that no one even noticed what they'd done until James was right in front of them. Jesus looked up at them and then down at James and said, "Your sins are forgiven." This made some of the teachers of the law in the room really mad. "You can't say that. Only God can forgive sins." Jesus was like, "What's easier to say? Stand up, pick up your mat and walk, or your sins are forgiven." Jesus turned his eyes back to James and said, "Stand up, pick up your mat and go home." In that very moment, James felt strength come into his legs. He'd been healed. He jumped up, grabbed his mat and walked through the front door. His friends all shimmied down off the roof and hugged their friend. What a great day. They had all played their small part and something amazing had happened. Everyone who was there that day praised God and said, "We've never seen anything like this before." As lifelong followers of Jesus, just like the friends in today's story, we can do small things that make a big difference to other people's lives. Doing small things with a big heart is something that we can all do.